Before the rest of the video, I'd like to offer a quick personal story. Whereas most wrestling fans were watching the sweaty boy tussle fest from a young age, I didn't exactly grow up with it. Sure, I was aware of the WWE, my brother owned Rey Mysterio merchandise, and I knew who John Cena, The Rock, or Randy Orton were, but I didn't watch the product day in and day out. One night when I was about elementary age, however, that changed. My brother and I were flipping channels looking for cartoons and happened to find Monday Night Raw. We saw a couple matches and liked the cool moves, but one man stood apart from the rest. Sheamus. Even then, I could tell there was something different about him. Whereas the other wrestlers were trading weightless, worked punches and throws, Sheamus just battered his opponents in a way that felt truly real. We thought he was so cool, in fact, that the very next time we were allowed to pick out a toy, my brother picked up a Sheamus action figure. Though I wouldn't become a hardcore fan for many more years, Sheamus always stuck in my mind. A man that made a supposedly fake sport feel realer than anything else. Sheamus is something of an unsung hero when looking at the past decade or so of WWE programming. The model of consistency and integrity, the man never phones it in, nor does he compromise his philosophy towards wrestling for anyone. In a time and company in which formerly top-tier performers such as AJ Styles, Finn Balor, or Shinsuke Nakamura have had to water down or otherwise alter their style to fit the WWE in-house brand of TV wrestling, Sheamus gives the impression of a man out of place, and in the best way possible. Even though he's primarily wrestled in the so-called PG era, where blood and brutality are frowned upon, the man regularly busts himself and his opponents open with just the sheer force of his thundering chops and sickening kicks, feeling more like the kind of bruising bully that Kenta Kobashi would have gone to war with in All Japan than just another tall, beefy, and marketable Vince McMahon golden boy. Sheamus is the kind of performer I'm always excited to see, because no matter if it's a WrestleMania classic or a TV tag match, he always gives 100%, always dealing brutality to the man he's across the ring with. It feels like a treat to see him plying his craft, and with this past year seeing him finally get some praise for a match I may or may not talk about later, I think it's a wonderful time to give people a reminder of the bangers this man has put on in the past. All credit goes to the wonderfully talented Joseph Montecillo for the 5-match primer format that has inspired me to write this. His work has truly changed and enriched my views of the noble sport of wrestling. I also absolutely owe SamTheVAMod for making this video not look like shit. It would have if I had done it alone. Without further ado, let's see our first match. My second favorite Sheamus performance of all time comes with the perfect dance partner, the GOAT, Daniel Bryan. Coming in 2012, after the rightly hated 18-second squash at WrestleMania, at Extreme Rules 2012, this match is a vindication of both the babyface champ and his vicious challenger. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but heel Danielson is best Danielson, despite him being so beloved as a babyface during the Yes Movement WrestleMania 30 afterglow. His heel performance just have such a sincere cruelty and visceral quality to them, and this is no exception. While Danielson leads this dance, Sheamus holds up his end of the bargain, getting the crowd behind him despite the crowd initially booing him and cheering Bryan. Let this be clear, this is no carry job, despite the gap in experience between the indie wrestling god and the WWE newcomer. Dragon always has the potential to have a great match, but too often in his WWE run, his opponents refuse to reciprocate his effort and willingness to use brutality to tell a story. This match is brilliantly structured with the extended control and heat segment that makes up a ton of the match, and Danielson taking an intentional disqualification, thereby losing the first fall in order to continue mauling Sheamus' shoulder with kicks. Danielson leads and Sheamus sells, showing off his chops as a more thoughtful kind of wrestling big man. Sheamus here just becomes so genuinely sympathetic, despite having the clear physical advantage over Bryan. It reminds me of something the aforementioned Mr. Montecillo remarked upon when talking about Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at Fastlane 2021. This match is honest in that it admits Bryan is quite simply a better wrestler than Sheamus. Sheamus is larger and stronger, but Dragon's mastery of technical mat-based wrestling allows him to enforce his will upon the imposing Irishman. Bryan's limb work brings Sheamus down to the mat, where the American Dragon thrives. Eventually, Sheamus passes out from the label lock, losing fall 2. Sheamus really thrives in the finishing stretch, playing a triumphant babyface during his comeback. He connects with his first bro kick, but is unable to make the pin in time, deliciously selling his injuries. Despite the match honestly showing that Bryan is a better wrestler, his hubris costs him the match, and by the time Sheamus finally gets the win, he's proven himself against the GOAT, with the initially hostile crowd now embracing Vince's new marketable big boy. While I think there's a version of this match that's 5 to 10 minutes longer and a full 5-star classic, that's hardly any sort of condemnation. It's well worth watching for fans of Dragon, Sheamus, and all people who appreciate good wrestling. 4.5 stars from me. The second match we're going to discuss is a ladder match versus John Morrison for a spot as a world title contender at TLC 2010. This match blew me away with how well John and Sheamus utilized the stipulation, with both being very smart about how they went about the match structure. Sheamus, looking like an adult standing next to a child compared to Morrison, tries to bully him with his physical advantage, immediately paying for it after Morrison's slick slide under the ladder. This shine is short-lived, however, and the heat is where I was really blown away, as Sheamus finds a way to do amazing limb work via the ladder, catching Johnny Drip Drip's leg in between the ladder steps and wrenching it at a disgusting angle. I've always thought that the ladder match stipulation was wasted on paint-by-the-numbers, big spot fest matches you typically get, and this match benefits from slowing down, so that when the big spots do happen, you appreciate them much more. This cuts off most of Morrison's high-flying offense for the rest of the match, making him incur great pain when he's forced to use it to overcome Sheamus. Morrison thrives when he has a big base to play off of, and Sheamus is one hell of a base. John bumps like a motherfucker, putting over his own fragility and also the raw power of Sheamus. However, once it's flipped and Sheamus is on the back foot, the lobster-headed menace sells beautifully, eating shit like any good heel does when he gets his comeuppance, culminating with a sickening bump he takes off of one ladder onto a ladder bridge ringside. Overall, it's two men wrestling incredibly smart, using the tired stipulation in a way I've never seen before, focusing on psychology and selling rather than high spots, though you get those too. 4 stars. My third pick here for a taste of Sheamus' career is a bit of an odd one, and it's his match against the New Day as part of the Bar with Cesaro at Roadblock End of the Line 2016. Seeing as this is a Sheamus video and not the Bar overall, I'm going to focus on his contributions rather than the overall match itself, as I want to show what Sheamus does best as a tag worker. Despite Claudio being fucking massive, he and Kofi do the flippy shit in this one, so it's left to Sheamus and Big E to be the big boys, which Sheamus obviously excels at. This is essentially a 20-minute tag match squeezed in only 10. So with everyone else going a mile a minute, it provides Sheamus an opportunity to be a great base. Early on, he slows the match down after Kofi and Cesaro started a frenzy pace, battering down Kofi and establishing himself as a dominant physical presence. Him taking out Big E creates a key narrative point in the match, as Kofi has to weather the storm of two physical freaks, with a little bit of questionably legal help from Xavier Woods at ringside. The way Sheamus flows with Cesaro is so impressive here, doing the power half of any combo move and making his partner look like $1 million. Most of the discourse I've seen about this match focuses on Cesaro's performance, which is fair. However, his hot tags and huge combo move spots only work with Sheamus doing the unglamorous dirty work to set it up. Sheamus also eats shit wonderfully once it's time, with Big E giving him his karmic payback for the Irishman's earlier cheap shots. Because of how Sheamus battered Kofi so easily earlier, it makes Big E look so much stronger once he starts his assault on the Celtic Warrior. Despite Cesaro getting the flashy stuff in, Sheamus gets the pin, surprising Kofi with an unexpected cover upon Kofi being confused about who is the legal man. All four men come out looking like $1 million, and Sheamus's work in the trenches is a sneakily large part of it. 3.5 stars. Not as acclaimed as their old-fashioned Donnybrook match, what the fuck is that, from 2022, my personal favorite match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre and their lengthy history is their match from the March 1st, 2021 edition of Raw, the Fallout episode upon Drew losing the WWE Championship to Miz at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Drew here is understandably full of angst, jumping Sheamus before the bell before an all-out brawl ensues. It's not complicated or pretty, but it is a good representation of what both men do best, battering the living fuck out of each other. They communicate their history together, and how evenly matched they are by constant reversals, going blow for blow as they know exactly which move the other will do next. They even begin to steal each other's moves, with Drew hitting an avalanche white noise. This familiarity plays into the finish, as Sheamus throws a brogue kick, which is countered into a claymore by Drew, who gets him down for the 1-2-3. While it's a really good brawl, and far beyond anything you'd normally find on WWE free television, some WWE isms do hamper it with the overly melodramatic playing to the camera that just slows down the match. If it was a WrestleMania title fight, maybe that would be appropriate, but not in a random Raw episode. Both men show what they do best, but it ain't Shakespeare. 3.5 stars. And now, for the big daddy at the end of this primer, my match of the year for 2022, and in my opinion, the absolute highlight of both men's careers. Gunther versus Sheamus at Clash at the Castle for the Intercontinental title. I had highly anticipated this match from the announcement, and it's a rare example of a dream matchup surpassing my expectations rather than disappointing me. With Papa Trips taking over Blood Bunny Incorporated, people wondered if NXT's work rate epic style would cross over into the main roster programming. High quality in-ring work did, but not the indie-rific standard NXT fare. Instead, when Der Ring General stepped into the squared circle against the Celtic Warrior, the two men chose to walk the King's Road. This match fucks. There's about 3 different moves, but despite the minimalism of the storytelling, they managed to weave a tale about a final boss of wrestling in Gunther and a doomed hero who refuses to accept defeat in Sheamus. The epic nature of the match solidified immediately after the bell rings, as Imperium and the Brawling Brutes attack each other, taking both factions out of the equation while Sheamus and Gunther just stare at each other. This match is a little hard to write about because it's like 90% just chops, but because Gunther has no regular finisher, it's defined by Sheamus trying to hit his 2 big spots, the beats of the Bodhrán and the brogue kick. The beats are the heart rhythm of the match, no pun intended, as the first couple times it's attempted, Gunther slips out, untwisting himself from the ropes and returning to their striking exchange. This infuses just enough sneaky heelishness into Gunther to make him hateable, but not enough to betray his central ethos, Die Matte ist healing. This is highly important, because it's what makes Gunther unique as a heel. His honor code forbids cheating, but not cock-teasing the audience and preventing the babyface from hitting his moves. After all, combat sports, worked or shoot, are just as much about not getting hit as they are actually connecting with your own shots. The beats of the Bodhrán are such a given in Sheamus matches that the disruption of it creates instant heat. It's a spot you never think about, and it rarely gets countered, so Gunther being actively avoidant of it makes you even more annoyed. This blue balling occurs 3 more times, with Gunther getting twisted into the ropes and then rolling out just at the last second. Eventually, Sheamus gets frustrated and resumes brawling. and the two combatants bash each other until they find themselves outside of the ring, near the commentators. Just when we've forgotten about Sheamus' quest to smack Gunther in the titties, he manages to perform the move on the announce table and then just about everywhere else. What really makes this match special is the back selling from Sheamus, starting when he takes an awkward looking bump from a Gunther powerbomb. Initially, from the couch where I was watching it, my brother and I thought that bump was a botch. However, the intention behind it contained in it the overall narrative of the match. Sheamus was so persistent in fighting to get out of the powerbomb, and so he didn't take the bump flat, which hurt his back and specifically his tailbone more in the process. This continues as whenever Gunther attempts a big slam or throw, Sheamus' fighting spirit only ends up costing him, wrecking his back until it dramatically gives out on a brogue kick attempt to win the match. Gunther finishes him with a lariat and retains his title. This match was so good I got emotional during it, like seriously. It's a modern take on the solid limb-selling psychology and chops of the King's Road style in a modern package. The full 5 stars for this one, and it's just one of the best things I've ever seen. To kind of summarize the whole purpose of this video, Sheamus is so often overlooked in his skills precisely because of his dependable nature. Much like a fellow perpetual mid-card champ placeholder in Dolph Ziggler, he's a victim of his own consistency. Whenever WWE panics and needs someone to sling a mid-card or tag title onto, Sheamus is often the guy. He busts his ass week in and week out, never delivering below 3 stars, but rarely being given enough of a platform to put on the masterpieces he's capable of. The man is in his mid-40s and not getting any younger, so hopefully y'all will appreciate him while we still got him working nearly every week. Cherish every chop, because much like White Iverson, you will miss this man when he's gone.